Hey, what is up, guys? And welcome back to another Magic Gathering Online League. We're back with Basking Broodscale with some updates to the list. This hand's weird. We have 8 hits off the top for a turn 4 combo in Blade of the Blood Chief and Urza Saga. Blade does enable a turn 3, Saga turn 4. We have ways to dig with Ancient Stirrings, so looking more at 12. Yeah, keep it. Why not? 12 hits off the top, I'll take it. Tis Tron, it looks like. Draw. So we do have to contend with Karn in that case. So getting a body on board early is going to be really important. Let's get this Fleshraker on board next. And we just go Broodscale, Broodscale, Broodscale pretty much. And it's not really Tron, but they still could be trying to go for Karn. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Fake here. They do watch my videos. I appreciate you for doing so. Devour Destiny. Fleshrake and pass. Another green source wouldn't be bad. That way I can play Broodscale to Broodscale. Dismember? That'd be my guess. Nope, crack map. For a Tron land or for something else? Right now you're at 6. Yeah, I was about to say 6 if you grab a soul land. This could be a kicked Myco spawn, which actually would be a big issue if they kicked my green source. Kicking the lab would be a bummer, but kicking the green source actually would hurt. It looks like they'll do that. I do need a land now, though. That's the thing. I do need a land. But yeah, so we have updated the list with Urza Saga and Ancient Stirrings. The numbers were looking better for those. So we adjusted the mana base accordingly. Land. I'm in danger. Yeah, that was a very quick kicked Myco on 3, so I can't really say too much there. We're not out of the game, but we're not in a good spot either, especially if they have a World Break or a kicked Myco spawn here. There's the World Break, takes out the forest, they'll attack for 3, down to 17. So at this point, a soul land would be ideal. That way I can cycle the K command and ramp. Oh, you got to be joking me. You didn't have the turn... Actually, no. I think we would have had the turn 4. Yeah, we would have, because I would have been able to... I would have had 4 mana, play the Blade, mana neutral, equip. And then we had the Kozilek's command as well. Jeez. Well, that's unfortunate. So at this point, we're just trying to find lands. Again, soul land would be ideal. Down to 9. What else you got? TKS? There's the TKS. The thing that you grab here is probably the Blade of the Blood Chief. Because if I am somehow able to recover, you do not want me comboing off. So Blade is probably the right choice. Yep. There goes the Blade. Paying cost for another TKS for a Karn. Well, that turns off the Blade entirely. They have a board full of creatures. There's a Delighted Halfling. The most I can do is block. I'll be down from 9 to 2. Actually, if they just tick up on Talisman, I lose. Yeah, they had a Lethal Lion, so I'll concede. So this is Eldrazi Tron. Lost for game 1. Yeah, I imagine this is overall pretty bad matchup. So, and one of these moments where I do wish I had Thief of Existence, but we brought in TKS because Thief was not trending well, but TKS, based on some other data we were able to scrape together, was doing fantastic. So let's cut to Allah's Dust. Let's cut a Fleshrake, Ballista, and a Gemstone. Let's run it like this. Dismember for the TKSs. And then TKS just Disrupt. I'm still on Halfling, still trying to figure out if Halfling's worth it or not. Because it does provide some extra ramp early for TKS on 2, or more consistent Flesh Raker on 2, Trinisphere on 2, etc., right? It does act as quote-unquote Soul Lands number 9 through 12, right? Could always look at the perspective of using Utopia Sprawl in place of Delighted Halfling, but the benefit of the Delighted Halfling is the fact that it also generates colorless and can make legendary permanents uncounterable, which is relevant. We have removed Agatha's Soul Cauldron, which is notable, but I don't have any real Saga package main. I have considered cutting Delighted Halfling for some Saga targets. Again, we have 8 hits, 12 if we include the... whatchamacallit? 12 if we include the Ancient Stirrings. So I think I will keep... I think I'll go Eldrazi Temple off the bat. That way we can potentially ramp into a K command X equals 2. Let's pass. And pass. You already know what they're playing, so not much sense in taking a peek, though. Actually doesn't hurt. Yeah, them getting a Karn out is going to be a little bit rough, because we'll need to beat down Karn. It's kind of hard for this deck to do. Well, the normal version maybe. Since we have our own Devourer and Ugin, maybe it's a bit different. It adds a bit more resilience in the face of Karn. So, something to think about. Yeah, definitely not a good matchup. Ulamog out, Might out. Okay, but Might can always get grabbed back by Karn. Tis a Mind, you have Natural Tron. Kind of worried about that. There's a Halfling. I'm going to go use a Basking Broodscale. And pass. Next turn we can K-Command, X2, Dismember, we'll pass. There goes my body on board. So I think we just hold the K-Command, X2 next turn to the Talisman, and passing. Lab does not cut it. We will go with a Cavern of Souls, name Eldrazi. And at that point, we will simply hold K-Command X equals 2. I'm a little bit worried about a Karn here with no bodies on board, though. Right now, if they do have Urza Tower, they do not. Good. That is still 5 mana, however, and that is concerning to me. We'll go to end step. And K-Command X equals 2. I do fear they have a K-Command X equals 3 on the horizon. And done. Emrakul. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's not bad. 12, 13. Top and draw. Draw. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, yeah. I'm going to go Ugin Lab. I'm going to imprint the Devourer. And I will cast a Ballista X2. And... oh, actually... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, we'd be still 1 short. Yeah. Delighted Halfling. But we are set up for an Emrakul next turn. Let's see that K-Command X3, friend. Here it is. we're going to go after the Ballista. Well, I'm going to ping 1, ping 2. 4 types in yard. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We'll pass in full. They do have Devourer and the mana to cast it, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, even without the lighted halfling, so we're in the clear there. I imagine that they are paying attention to the possibility of an Emrakul. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 8. I mean, if you have a TKS, that's gonna suck. Okay, looks like a kicked Myco spawn. That'll get them Trons. They'll have 7 mana left over. So Devourer is down. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which means that they do cast the Devourer to exile the halfling. We're in trouble. Karn is fine. Though Liquid Metal Coating will actually set me back enough. Yeah, if they go Liquid Metal Coating, we're in trouble. Because now we're fighting an uphill battle. Because they'll do it on upkeep. Yep. Shoot. Urza Saga. Okay, Urza Saga might just help. I imagine they'll probably go after the Saga. So I will play the Saga Trigger. And I will pass no attacks. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those, yeah. So I need them to hit the Saga, not the Temple. Perfect. This will add a type to Yard. Up to 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're now at 14, so even a Devourer won't cut it. But a Myco spawn will. Shit. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we now need a temple off top. Now it doesn't matter. So we are now officially short on Emrakul, and I don't think there's going to be a way back. Ballista. We can X1 Ballista, but that's not going to save us. I'm trying to think of what in the world would even save us is the problem, and I don't think there really is anything. Because we're going to be losing a land per turn no matter what. We're currently at 10-11 for Emrakul, and I don't imagine there's much of a better way to put types into Yard. So I think we's are dead. Yeah, that Myco spawn closed it out. GG's. Alright, well, I mean, I think this is just overall pretty bad matchup just because main deck Karn kind of hoses the stack, especially if they are able to get going. Alright, well, we'll be back for match 2. Alright, and we're back for match 2 on the play for game 1. Let's take a look. Okay, I mean, this is looking like a turn 3. I will keep. I will play Saga, Trigger, and pass. And pass. Converting Catacombs, fetch. A Thoughtseize would suck. Stomping Grounds, shock to 17. Utopia Sprawl? Chocobo. Okay. Saga trigger. Basking Broodscale. And pass. Is this like Zoo? Landfall? I wonder. Chocobo. Triggers. Red. Yep, this is Landfall Zoo, but it don't matter, cause we winning. Blade of the Blood Chief. Equip Blade. Converting Catacombs, fetch. For a forest. So always yes, always yield. Always yield. Opponent has to add a payoff, and the answer is yes. I appreciate you, opponent. Makes life easier. So this is, oh, what was it even called? It was Zoo, right? Like it used to be called Zoo. Or just like the landfall creatures. Oh, that was a different time, man. That's a throwback. I wonder if the Chocobo makes it better or good enough. Do we just want Dismember? You want TKS in case they have removal? Maybe. So like my first thought here is to cut Ugin, cut Emrakul, keep the Allah's Dust for Dismember at the very least, and like run it back like this. Yeah, I mean, that was the power of Urza's Saga. Oh my god, seriously? This hand has it all except for lands. Okay. Okay. I might be crazy to keep this hand. A 0 lander, 2 Ancient Stirrings. Can I make this work? Maybe. If I find a green source, turn 1 we can Ancient Stirrings, fine. Try and find another land. Finds the land, plays the land, plays, let's say, the Blade and the Ancient Stirrings to find another land. I'm gonna go for it. Horrible idea, to be clear, but it is a game-winning hand, right? We have 23 lands to hit off the top. I need a green source. There's a green source. I'm gonna go forest. Of course, that was all lands. Ancient Stirrings. Grab the temple. Any order and pass. And there's a Chocobo. We'll pass. Hey, it's the Brushfire Elemental. Yeah, so this is like OG Zoo, Wild Times. Draw. So we can do a couple things. Trying to think of what order I want to do this. Because we go Temple, Broodscale. We could then equip the following turn and then go off of Ballista. we find a land we can dismember and then trigger go off of Ballista. So I'm tempted to go for the Broodscale for the potential turn 3. If I play the Blade now, we would have to draw into a land, or I guess Ancient Stirrings into a land. Okay, let's actually set up for Ancient Stirrings. There's Lab, any order. So we have Lab, we have Temple. So I can play the Blade. Let's go Temple, play the Blade, and pass. And pass. So now we can play the Broodscale, equip, and dismember to trigger. Then we have Ballista to finish. Okay. This is looking like a turn 3 in that case. Triggers. Up to a 3/3. Up to a 5/5. Red, green. Okay. Up to a 7/7. Up to an 11. No shot. I'm not dead. I'm at 1. Oh. And living on a hope and a prayer, we got it. Trigger. Tuck Devourer. And thankfully we actually did draw into the K command, because if we hadn't, we would not be able to do this, I don't think. So we're going to equip. I'm going to then play Ballista for 0. Always yield. Always yes. Always yield. And I'll let opponent know I have K command. So at this point, we just go up to 46. Yeah, opponent goes constantly putting people to 1 and losing, so annoying. I mean, like, I feel that. That was how I felt with Eldrazi aggro. So, I fully understand. Like, that's the thing that, like, it almost feels the worst about aggro decks that don't have as much resilience as, like, prowess and energy, is that, like, you get them down to 1, and then you just get absolutely blown apart, and you go, well, that sucks. So I 1000% feel that. But that said, that was a clean win. I'm gonna call this Landfall. I'm pretty sure this used to be called Zoo. But obviously the categorization of this being Zoo is no longer really the case. We're gonna go Landfall. With that said, we'll be back for match 3. Alright, enter back for match 3 on the draw for game 1. I mean, at this point, we're just looking for a payoff, right? So I'm going to keep. Going to play. I think we just exile the Olives. Actually, Olives might be good enough. Do we get rid of the Saga? Maybe. Like, I'm thinking that the Olives might be good to keep. Huh. Trying to think as far as order of operations, we go Basking, Broodscale, Blade, or just send the Blade first. I wonder if also maybe I'll just get rid of the Forest. Yeah, let's just get rid of the Forest. We'll keep the Dust. I'm gonna pass. Because I guess we can go Saga next turn and then start making constructs at the very least. Draw. Second Broodscale. In that case, I'll play the Saga Trigger. I'll play the Broodscale. And pass. And pass. Yeah, at least the All's Dust could potentially sweep the board if needed. That's at least my thought here. Shock. Red, white. Quarry, steel cut. Okay. Mox Amber trigger, so Jeskai Cutter. I think they just dropped the Jeskai Ascendancy at this point. Mox Opal is online. There's the Haywire Mite. No green at least. Saga trigger. So in that case, I'm thinking twofold. I'm thinking playing Basking Broodscale and the Blade. Yeah, that's my initial thought here. So play Cavern Souls, name Eldrazi. Cast Basking Broodscale. Cast the Blade. And go to combat. Or is it going to be not to swing for 2? Because the Amber's offline. I'll pass. You still don't have green, so you can't activate the Haywire Mite, and we have redundancy up the wazoo. So next turn we're definitely equipping. And then I'm going to attempt to go off. Thoughtcast. Draws 2, up to 4. Four cards in hand. Even if they were to exile my Saga instead of my Blade in hopes that I wouldn't have enough mana, we still have enough mana to equip and adapt because we only need 3. So at the very least, like I said, we're going to fire off this All Is Dust. There's Tamiyo. Unless you flip Tamiyo, you can't get green. And since you already drew 2, that's a non-sequitur. Okay, Floodstrain could probably get a green source, though. Yeah. No blocks. Yeah, I imagine they have a Temple Garden. Draw. Ancient Stirrings. Tap. Blade of the Bloodsheaf. So attempt to equip Blade of the Bloodsheaf. Basically, they have to exile it now. If they don't, when they sacrifice as part of cost, it will trigger. So I will then go green colorless and attempt to adapt. I guess I could adapt this one for all intent and purpose. Actually, before we do that, there's no reason for me not to do this. Saga, trigger. Equip the Basking Broodscale. Attempt to adapt. Paying cost. Again, because it is Basically, because sacrificing is part of cost here, it does not work the way they want it to. So, always yes, always yield. Always yes, and not stop yielding. And then trigger. Stack. Yeah, like I said, they needed to do it earlier. So now we have two infinite big, not to mention we have the All's Dust to sweep on top of which. It didn't matter because no matter what, we had the ability to equip and then adapt. So even if they got rid of the first one, the second one's there as a backup. So we had some pretty good redundancy and a good way to sweep into the kill, even if they had two blockers, which is one of the nice parts about All's Dust, I will admit. So this is, I'm going to say Cutter, because like I said, it doesn't really fall into Jeskai's Ascendancy anymore, because I think for the most part they just cut Jeskai's Ascendancy. But it's not Prowess either. We will bring in the Trinispheres. Excuse me. Dismember is good for Emery and Tamio. So I think we cut... All it does is good, because it goes wide. What else do we cut, though? Maybe we don't bring the Dismembers? That's one downside of not having the Agatha Soul Cauldron to cut anymore. I guess we could cut, like, some number of Halflings. They're not integral to the deck, because we also don't have any lands to cut. We're already at 9, 7, and we're already at, was it 6, 9 lethal lines. So yeah, maybe we cut some number of Halfling. Yeah, that or Dismember. I think we go Halfling, call it a day. We do need to be a bit careful about how we play Saga, just because they do have access to Haywire Might, because that can kind of suck. Also, thank you Gemstone Cavern for the turn 3 win. Speaking of Gemstone Caverns, now we are missing Basking Broodscale, which is a significant card to be missing, but I will keep this. Gemstone Cavern. We're going to pitch the Verdant Cat and pass. Because now this allows us to go Saga to start making constructs. We're just going to go on a mid-range beatdown. Bobble. Ballista. Huh. I might be tempted to actually, like, we now have a threat. The problem is, like, we could go Saga. They only need any artifact, yeah. So I think we just go Ballista. I don't wanna. I wanna play the Saga, but the Haywire Might's there. It just would suck being sent back a turn, so yeah, we'll go Ballista. Done. I want that Haywire Might dead, friend. I'm actually tempted to do so before they untap to ensure that they can't play an Emery, to be completely honest. I think that might be worth it. Goodbye, Might. So next time we're looking at Saga Halfling, and then Saga. This all means they can't bobble unless they want no colored sources. It's still enough for Emery, though, is the only downside. Corey Steel Cut? Okay. Draw. No follow-up. Saga Trigger. Delighted Halfling, pass. Alright, I mean, we're going for a construct beatdown plan now. I mean, I guess they could go Emery. No, I mean, even if they went Emery Equip, they wouldn't be able to cast and then activate Might before I can start activating Saga. We're still missing one half of our engine, though. Okay, there's the Emery. I was worried about that. Opal, Haywire Might. I guess they could haste the Emery and grab back the Opal. That actually might not be a bad idea if they have nothing else going on for them. I'll be completely honest. It would also trigger the Corey Steel Cut then after. I think that's a fantastic line. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. Tap. Opal. Bring back Opal. Trigger Steel Cut. Equip. Yep. Opal. Emery, Opal, and Corey Steelcut. Nutty cards. I will not be blocking. Would love a K command, I think. Yeah, K command might not be bad. And step, draw. Huh. Well, that sure is a Blade of the Blood Chief. Saga trigger. So, I mean, I don't intend on blocking. So what I can do is this. Cast Blade. Now we're just missing. Again, we're missing Broodscale. You know what I probably should have done is equip the blade to the construct. I may have been right. Emery target might. I still need to cast it. They targeted. They cast. In response, I'll make a construct. And pass. Saga. White. Portable hole. Probably hits the construct, would be my guess. Hits the blade. Okay. I guess they can continue to hit sagas. Take 4. Yep. Not much I can do about that right now. The one a Haywire Might now, though. Draw. Triggers. Make a construct. Why not activate the might at any point here? There's a blade. I guess they're more afraid of the blade. Play a land. We're going to say no equip. We're just going to make constructs at this point. No reason to attack. will target me. So they're seeing if I might, for example, have a Basking Broodscale. Green. Targeting blade. Yes. It is what it is there. Does shrink my constructs, admittedly. Tease a bubble. Bubble draw. Saga. Yep. I'm just gonna activate this now. We'll pass in full at that point. Another Saga. Two cards in hand. You could just go after my Saga and call it a day, but looks like you're gonna hold. Double block here, single block here. This is bait. Dispatch. Quarry Steel Cut, you don't want to equip. Add. Okay. It is a May ability, which is really important. Paying cost, you get rid of the Saga now. Okay. Yep. Stirrings. Well, there's Trinosphere. The only problem is they can play around it. I'm gonna Stirrings again. Try and find a land. There is land. Trinosphere. And pass. So again, they'll just be able to Haywire Might it, but it's something for them to focus on. I'm trying to think of how I get out of this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2, 4, 5, 6, or one short of something like Ugin or Allah's Dust. There's gonna make constructs galore. Yeah. That's at least 5. Let's say 6. 7, 8, 9, we'll say. I know it'd be, yeah, 9 at a minimum. Yeah, things are looking a bit grim here. The Emery Haywire might just make things really difficult. Pithing Needle naming what? Naming Blade. That's fine. At this point, we're not really on the Blade plan. I think I'm more in like an Emrakul plan. Either that or an Allah's Dust, but even Allah's Dust I don't think really got us out of the situation's the problem. 2, 4, 5, 6. We'll take the 8. The theoretical 9. I'm not sure why they, I guess, interesting, attack memory. So 10. Down to 5. You didn't even make a construct. Interesting. Draw. Funny. But, yeah, that's lethal. Alright, we'll concede. Lost for game 2. On to game 3. Yeah, again, Thief of Existence kind of looks appealing here. I wonder if the Trinosphere is actually that good in this instance, just because of the might. We'll cut the Gemstone, of course. think I bring back an Emrakul. I do wonder about just cutting. Maybe keep the Emrakul out. Cut the last two halflings and bring in the TKS. Or Disruption. It's Disruption in a body. I think that might be right. Let's do that. Yeah, I think being able and willing to cut the halflings is not a bad idea. There's also a thought that maybe TKS main is not a bad idea. On the play for game 3. I will keep. Because this is either a turn 2 Flesh Rake or a turn 2 TKS. It's not a bad hand. Then we just go for more ramp, so basically we're just going for Eldrazi beats. Devourer, trigger. Cavern of Souls is appealing. Let's go with Cavern. I'm going to play Ugin Lab, trigger, Imprint Devourer, since I already know about it. I'm really tempted to go Flesh Rake here. Just so that way we can ramp. Plays a land, Tamiyo. Draw. Let's go TKS since the field is open. Whip Flare. Deals 2 damage to each non-artifact creature. Shadow Spear, Kappa. Kappa's hard to deal with, so I'm going to go Kappa. Whip Flare is a little bit annoying, admittedly. Because it will get rid of the Flesh Rake. So I don't really like that, to be completely honest, but leaving the Kappa would be a poor decision on my part. So maybe we just go Ballista, X equals 2. And I'll attack with the Tamiyo, make a clue. Bobble. Draw. Broodscale is tempting here. The only issue that I do see is these constructs are going to be really big. Down to 14. Okay, so my thought is to play the Flesh Rake and nothing else. Because by doing so, it incentivizes them to cast the Whip Flare. But if we've drawn to a Blade, we have the Ballista. Because we should be able to play Blade, equip. Yeah, I think this is right. So like I said, this incentivizes them to play the Whip Flare next turn. I'm surprised they didn't bobble, but I guess because they're probably not going to crack the clue this turn. There's the Spire. In retrospect, maybe casting the Ballista was right, because if they then Whip Flare, we would have been able to ping the Tamiyo, which would have killed it. But then it means we don't have a finisher if we draw into the Blade. Interesting. Attack. Unknowns. I do get worried about this Saga grabbing a Haywire Mite next turn. If they hold up 2, means that I won't be able to attack in with the TKS. There's the Whip Flare, so we were right. Draw. Lab. Lab is interesting. Combat. So we're going to attack in if no issue. I'm thinking that a Ballista X3 might be the right choice here. Because with a Ballista X3, we can just ping down the Tamiya right now. And they can't really do anything about it. So, ping 1. Ping 2. Ping 3. Tamiya down. And pass. I'll make a construct. It is a 5/5. It'll be a 6/6 after they search. Again, what I need here is a blade. Because then we can attack him with TKS, basically. So I'll name Blade of the Blood Chief. Uggin's Lab. Interesting. I'm not sure that's the right move. That is interesting, though. Shadow Spear equip, Emery. Emery hits Mox, Bauble. I guess you can hit the Bauble now. Draw. 2, 4, 5. Trigger target. So Emery down. No attacks. Imagine they crack the Bauble. No. Two cards in hand. Capo? Nope, equipping is a 7/7 lifelink trample. They want to attack though. Then push them up to 15, then we push them down. Really? So they could have a dispatch here, which would be my concern, because we could attempt to double block and then they dispatch, and basically they 2-for-1 me. That would be my concern here by blocking. Otherwise, they go down to 15, or go up to 15, then down to 5. I'm going to say no blocks. This feels like bait, kind of like the last one. The last one I didn't mind as much, but this one is a bit suspect. Draw. Ancient Stirrings. We actually can't cast Ancient Stirrings. I'm going to go to combat. There's the dispatch like I thought. So I know I grabbed the Cavern Souls because I was kind of afraid of them countering my creatures, but now I wonder if maybe I should have went for a forest. And pass. They do have to be a little bit careful here, because if I do have a blade and they do attack in the constructs, then I can pretty much just win the game. Red. Whip flare? Yep. Down to 6, so I can't attack next turn then. Steam Vents tap 2 cards in hand and draw. Fortunately, Temple does not cut it, so at that point we have to pass. We can't bring back the Devourer. Lethal's on board, so we're forced to block. Paul will target me. That tells me that they have something to deal with the Devourer. Corey's Steel Cut. Okay. Yep. Bobble. Yep. Triggers. That is 8. Saga. Oof. Oh, I have to block the Construct. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2 turn Emrakul, even if we were to draw into one. I mean, I think I need a K command. Okay, hold up. This might help. Fetch, down to 1. Forest. Utopia, or Utopia Sprawl, Ancient Stirrings. All's Dust doesn't cut it. Glaring Fleshrake doesn't cut it. Trinisphere doesn't cut it. Yeah, I wonder if Trinisphere is actually good in this matchup. Like, in normal prowess, I think yes, but, like, they don't necessarily lean too horribly hard on Corey's Steel Cut. So I think maybe Trinisphere in this matchup is a bit of a trap. What would have Trinisphere been instead? Would be either another payoff or something like Ugin or Emrakul. Yeah, I mean, that's lethal no matter how we shake it, so we'll concede. Unfortunate. Yeah, so I think Trinisphere might just be a trap in this matchup in retrospect. But we're learning. And this one of those moments where like Thief I think may have been better instead of TKS, but hard to say with any degree of certainty. That said, we'll be back for match number 4. Alright, and we're back for match 4 on the play for game 1. Karuga. Oh, that's unexpected. Alright, I mean, okay, so this is another turn 3 potential. We'll keep. We're going to start off with Saga. And pass. And pass. The biggest thing is now we need to draw into a payoff. Trigger. Forest. Attempt to resolve. Pass. Resolves. Alright. Fetch Flooded Strand. Sacred Foundry Shock. So Basking Broodscale down. No. Triome. Okay. I guess it could be a Leyline Binding would be my guess. Forest. No. Fire. Fire Ice. Okay. Draw. Trigger. Another Broodscale. We'll tap. Lay to the Blood Chief. So we now have to ask the question of, do we Broodscale or not Broodscale? Because we can Broodscale Equip, right? We could Broodscale Equip. Next turn we'll have 3 mana. And the only issue I see with that is the fact that we'll be able to Broodscale Equip, but then nothing. So I think we do just go Broodscale. And Equip. And pass. And pass. So they don't have an answer. We have infinite mana and have 2 Stirrings to dig for an answer. Side of the Draco is fine. Draw. Devour Destiny doesn't cut it, but it does allow us to do some fun things. So let's start with Ancient Stirrings. All is Dust does not cut it. Yikes. I mean, another Blade of Bloodchief isn't bad. Actually, it gets interesting. Go Blade of the Bloodchief. Any order. Ugin Slab. So, what this now means for us is that I can go trigger or activate. Always yes, always yield. I can then play a blade. I can trigger. Always yield. So now I can equip blade. I guess no, I can't. Whoops, wrong thing. I want to equip blade to you, not the spawn yet. Triggers. There we go. So, what we do now is that there's going to be put on the stack. I'm going to press 7 here. So it just automatically puts things on the stack. We're generating 1 token every single time. So basically what we're making is infinite tokens and infinite mana. At some point I can start equipping the blades over to the tokens, and then the tokens will start becoming infinite. So basically we win next turn. They have to block the Scion, and that's it. Yep, perfect. Yeah, the second blade actually helped out a lot. Perfect. All right. So this is against, I guess this is Zoo? Question mark, but Karuga Zoo. So in for game 1. I'm gonna say bring Dismember in. I imagine they have a lot of interaction. All is Dust is interesting because they probably don't expect an All is Dust. And with All is Dust though, if they have a ley line of the Guild Pact, it's just a sweep. So I'm thinking we cut the Ugin, Emrakul. And I do want TKS in. So I'm thinking we cut Fleshrake, Ballista, and a Halfling. Yeah, let's do this. On the draw for game 2. Oh, this is interesting. So we have Gemstone Caverns, we have Temple, we have Lab, but no Lab food. I will keep. They do have the Leyland Guild Pack, so the All is Dust is good. Caverns. What do we eat, or what do we feed to it? I'm thinking the Lab. But if we draw into a 7-mana value spell, that'd be really good. I mean, we already have a green source in the way of Gemstone Count, so I think we can feed the forest instead. Let's feed the forest. And then pass. Breeding Pool. Tapped. Yeah, no Ragavan in this list. Another K command, Jesus. I mean, we can K command X equals 1 for what it's worth. Otherwise, we can play the blade. Okay, actually, I'm thinking here. Do we play the blade? If we play the blade... No, I think we'll hold on the K command X1. So next turn we'll have 4 mana. I guess really 3. Maybe I should have played the Blade. 16. End step. I will fire off a K command. There's the Broodscale. Okay. And they could fire ice the spawn. Draw. Temple. Temple. And they're clearly holding up interaction, right? So we're just going to continue to kind of hammer home K commands until they do something. Like, eventually they're going to have to respond to K command X equals, I don't know, 10. Paying cost. Okay, I was grabbing a land. So, may have missed a land drop otherwise. Holding up a single land tells me that they likely have a consigned memory. I'm going to sweeten the pot for them. Normally, I would not... Well, I don't know. Do I want to sack the spawn? I kind of want to sweeten the pot and see if they'd be willing to. Because if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, you wouldn't be able to fire it off. So, okay. X equals 3 it is then. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to go top, 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 and draw. So we can clear the way of the TKS. And then we have the K command. And as long as the way is clear, we can go Broodscale, Blade, K command, win. Opponent's thinking. What are they thinking about? Draw. Forest. So let's start off with TKS. We're using TKS to clear the way. If they consign, then their shields are down, short of a subtlety or a solitude. There's solitude. Solitude is fine. Yep. They draw a card. Subtlety, subtlety, force. Remind me how much damage you deal. 2. The force is unironically the worst of it all, because it would destroy the blade. Whereas like them subtletying, that's fine. So we'll hit force. We can ensure that the Broodscale is out of range of the fire ice, which I just want to confirm is 2 mana. Cancel. Sir, can I Z? No. Was it? Oh, Z, not control. Jesus. Deals 2 damage. Yeah, it's 2 mana. Okay. So in that case, yes. If we go Broodscale, will you let it resolve? Bold move, caught him. because now I can just simply blade. Equip. Always yield. Trigger. Always yes. Always yield. And let opponent know that I have a K command. Yeah, I feel like they should have probably let the TKS resolve, given that they had both Force of Vigor, Subtlety, and Solitude. I feel like hitting the TKS was like the least of their worries. And Bone scoops it up. They say play it. GG's. I appreciate you, opponent. Alright, solid stuff. Yeah, moments like this where like TKS definitely feels better than Thief. Just because of just being able to clear the way like that. So I'm not sure if I consider this like Zoo or more like domain control. Almost feels like maybe it's Omnath. I mean, we didn't see Omnath the entire time. We saw the Scion, we saw the Subtlety and Solitudes, though. It's hard to say. Either ways, solid win. We will be back for match 5. Alright, and we're back for match 5 on the draw for game 1. I mean, we have one half of the engine, we have a payoff, and a way to find the other half. I'll keep this. Reveal and pass. Do we take the risk with the Saga is the question. Thoughtseize, well, I mean, taking the Ballista would be the payoff. Taking out the Devourer, though, would mean that I don't have lab food, which is relevant. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Trigger. There's Flesh Rake, there's Blade. I think I will go with Flesh Rake here. I don't think I'll go Saga. Like, there's still a chance, but I think I want to get some additional value out of Saga if at all possible. I don't know. Like, we could set up for the Blade, but it sets us back. If we draw into the Broodscale between now and then, it could be pretty good. Alright, fine. We'll go Saga. Pass. And pass. Because we're probably just going to go Verdant Catacombs Ballista X1 next turn. Marsh Flats fetch. 4 plains. Could be Blink. Alright, looking like Blink. There's a Solitude, which is kind of hard to deal with. Draw. Trigger. I was hoping for a 7-minute value spell, I'll be honest. We had, what, 10 hits off the top there? Verdant Catacomb fetch. Or Forest. We'll just go Ballista X1. And pass. And pass. There's Ketramos. Ketramos is a bit of a problem, admittedly. Draw. Tap. Trigger. Blade. Land. Fetch. Forest. Flesh Rake. And go to combat. Attack with Ballista. Down to 16. And pass. And you still have the Solitude in hand. We have to be mindful of that fact. Speaking of, do you have an Ethan? Hits the Flesh Rake. That resolves. Trigger Ketra. I mean, I can only imagine that you do. Really? Okay. 3, Flicker Wisp, target, Overlord, resolves, trigger Ketra, Backstreet, trigger, Overlord will ETB, hit the Solitude. And Solitude. Yep. Passing, draw. All is Dust. All is Dust is interesting to me for a lot of reasons. I eventually want to play it for one. So I'm gonna start by equipping Ballista of Blade. I'm gonna cast a Delighted Halfling. I am going to... I kind of want to Ugin's Lab Tuck the Dust, but at the same time I don't because it does feed Ketra. I'm going to Misty Rain, and I'm going to hold. Kind of do wish we had room for a Surveil land in this deck. No attacks. No Solitude. Unfortunately, the toughness of these creatures does make machine gunning down their board a bit difficult. Five cards in hand is pretty relevant. Again, we're kind of just angling for this All is Dust to try and grapple back any sense of a lead. ETB targets. Okay, they did that in the wrong order. Evoke trigger, trigger. Always yield. Exile resolves. Ketra trigger. Draw a card. Paying cost for artifact or enchantment. ETB trigger. Target. Blade. Remove, hit Wisp. Trigger. I mean, I'm really tempted to go after the Witch Enchanter, but I think I might just hold. Like, it would leave me with an empty board, which I don't really want. At least we can grow the All's Dust next turn. Yeah, I'll let that resolve. Attacks. Trigger. I imagine you grab back the Solitude, because why wouldn't you? Yep. Hit me for 9. No blocks. Down to 12. Land for turn. 3 in hand. End step, fetch with Misty. Again, we just really need to resolve this dust. Forest. And draw. Jesus. I'm gonna go Ugin's Lab if for no other reason to potentially have a K command next turn. Not gonna imprint though, out of fear of a White Orchid Phantom though. Maybe I should also fear to Thoughtseize, admittedly. I will pass. No attacks. I think I do have to block. I just feel like this matchup is really bad. They can hardcast a Solitude now. They don't even need to evoke it. Emperor Bones. Emperor Bones grabbing Flicker Wisp is relevant because it can remove the Ballista from board. Well, actually, if you just... No, I think, yeah. Flicker Wisp, I think, is the answer. Either that or Felia. Felia would have worked as well. Catchermost Trigger. And... Emperor Bones. Adapt. Maybe they're a bit worried about a K command. Yeah, I want to say they thought about the line I was suggesting, that kind of had a second thought. There's Solitude. I mean, they have one in hand. Now they have two. Solitude ETB targets. You always stack it in that order. I don't know why. I'm gonna remove and target Witch Enchanter and Witch Enchanter and pass. So we're gonna be down to 2. I don't foresee us having a way out here. Because we don't have an Allah's Dust, right? I will exile a land. Trigger. Yeah, if we like drew into, I don't know, a Soul Land or some Mana Valley spell last turn. Never mind. Yeah, Thoughtseize. Allah's Dust is out. Of course. I will concede. Yeah, we didn't have any way out of that at that point. So this is Blink, lost for game 1. Oh. We want this member. I think we also do want the TKS. At the same time, they do have a lot of ways of dealing with TKS between Push and Solitude. And I guess the Solitude, though, is a 2-for-1 in our favor. They pitch a card, they pitch Solitude, they draw a card for 1 card. Yeah, I want to say it's still fair. The Fatal Push is a bit more rough, and we'll definitely keep that in. So I'm thinking we kick the Emrakul, kick the Ugna's All's Dust is pretty good. Kick Gemstone, and then a Fleshrake Ballista. And run it back. Yeah, I wonder what the most people's win percentage against Blink is with Broodscale. So we have a payoff. We have 1/2 the engine. We have multiple payoffs, 1/2 the engine. We have 4 hits. Let's say we increase the number of hits from 4 to 8 with Ancient Stirrings. Okay, we have 8 hits off the top. Not bad, but not great. I like this saga a lot more if we draw into a lab, but there's no guarantee that we will. I think we might have to mulligan this. Yeah. There's the Lighted Halfling. It is ramp, but again, we have 1/2 of... We have 1/2. Keep it. I'm gonna pitch the Dismember. Let's go Forest, Halfling, Saga. And maybe just try and go Saga Beatdown. Forest, Halfling, and pass. This potentially allows us for a turn to K Command X2 or a TKS. So, and Thoughtseize or Fatal Push. Thoughtseize. I imagine they take the Dismember. Because Dismember can deal with Ketra on the cheap. Yep. Draw. Ooh. Well, this just got interesting. I'm gonna say we play it now. I'm trying to think. If I play it now, is there a benefit to doing so versus later? The thing is, it would need to stick on board for 2 more of my opponent's turns before we can attempt to combo off. Next turn, I would like to make a construct with a Saga. The turn after, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 equip. So we don't have enough to adapt then is the problem. Alright. I will equip. Or I will cast now. I'm going to go to combat. And then pass. I know about the Olive's Dust. There's the Fatal Push. No other lands though. Interesting. There's a Blade. Trigger. I'll play an Eldrazi Temple. I'll go to combat. So they're clearly short on lands. White. March. In response. So they're trying to play around a Blade. Pass. Draw. Ballista. So in that case, what I can do is Ballista X1. Blade. Go to combat. Attack for 3 and pass. Down to 10. And pass. Next turn we can equip Blade to Ballista. Shouting Backstreet. We have access to 1, 4, 5, 6 damage. I'll pitch the Dismember. Draw. Land. So I'm thinking what I do here is I'm going to put a counter on Ballista. Evoke Solitude. Targets Ballista. So sack target you and pass in full. Attack. Pass. Yeah, maybe equipping the blade would have been better. White Orchid Phantom, it's the temple. That's annoying. And it does have first strike. Draw. TKS. Ketramos out. Pass. No attacks. And pass. Relic to draw a card. So, one unknown. No attacks. Draw. Equip Blade of the Blood Chief to the Construct token. Go to combat. No blocks. I will pass and pass. Now they could Flicker Wisp the TKS in order to draw a card. Flicker Wisp. 2 cards in hand. They choose not to, though. Draw. Another Devourer. The problem becomes they have to block the TKS. They can double block. So, equip to the Lighted Halfling. I mean, I could equip the TKS. Yeah, so let's do it like this. We're going to attack with TKS. They have to block. Yep. So first strike damage. Done. Trigger. Always yield. Always yield. Alright, well, at this point, Delayed Halfling's lethal damage. Do they have interaction or a blocker? Overlord of the Bailmerk, looking for Solitude. Whiffs on the Solitude. Did we get there? They need a blocker at the very least. And I feel like if they had one, they would have just played it. So I think we got there. Perhaps Felio. Okay, so they do have the Felio. Overlord of the Bailmerk. Draw. Go to combat. Attack. Fetch to 2. Flashes in a Felio. Blocks of Felio. Trigger. Saga. Trigger. Pass. And pass. Alright, again, do you have a blocker or a way to interact? Witch Enchanter. Blows up the Saga. Okay. And passing. Draw. Go to combat. Block. Trigger. I'll pass. And pass. Again, do you have a blocker? Plays Bog. Conqueror. Trigger. Stirrings. Cavern of Souls. Any order? Cavern of Souls. Name Eldrazi. Go to combat. And pass. And passing triggers Saga trigger. Go to combat. Solitude. Solitude it is. Resolves. I will pass. So we have a K command X3. Emperor Bones. Emperor Bones target. What are we thinking here, friend? I am tempted to just exile the Emperor Bones before they even attempt to adapt. Targets Witch Enchanter. In response. Done. And Enchanter is exiled. I'll take the 3. Actually, no. If I had one more spawn, I could make it work. Because I'd be able to equip sack, short one. I will take the 3. They're up to 5. Trigger Overlord. Draw. Well, do you have interaction? Green. Green. Cannot be countered. Go to equip. Trigger 1. Yes. always yield. Unfortunately, I do not have Ballista or K Command or a Flash Rake. But what I do have instead is the following. Devour of Destiny. Target Overlord the Baelmerk. Resolves. And for all intent and purpose, if they were to Solitude the Broodscale at this point, I basically have infinite life. Devourer of Destiny. Exile the Solitude. And Bone Scoops it up. Alright, we got there. Devourers coming in clutch. Alright, well, we want the gemstone back. We've already cut 2 of our win cons. We've cut 2 of our 7-mana value spells. So we're going to cut a halfling for this. And run it back. And that was a close one. They're very close to turning the corner if they were able to attack with the Overlord. It's been very hard to come back. On the draw for game 3. I mean, there's a K Command X2 on 2 with the halfling. We currently don't have either half of the engine, but we have ways to find them. So I'm going to keep, I'm going to pass. Windswept Teeth. Passing. Devourer, you're a little bit late. I am tempted. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna play around a White Orchid Fan. I was tempted to play the Lab Devourer, but I'm gonna play around the White Orchid. Of course, we play into a Fatal Push or a Solitude. So give and take, right? And pass. And draw. Temp. We'll hold for the Felia that I think they're going to attempt to cast. It's clearly demonstrating we have the K command, right? Yep. Felia. In response. So this does mean that we have Devourer online next turn. This unfortunately does, however, mean that we are now without a win con if we do get our engine online. We'll pass in full. The best thing that I think they could play here for us is a Ketramos. Because if they just play Ketramos and we devour it, perfect. I imagine if they do that, they feel pretty confident that I don't have the Devourer because I did not reveal one. Obviously, we drew into the Devourer after. Yeah, Ancient Stirrings just sometimes can just be really awkward cast window-wise. Because, like, the turn 1 halfling into turn 2 K Command X2 was good. There's the Ketra. Perfect. Draw. So we'll go Forest. And target Ketra. And pass. So now we have a threat on board. I'm going to go Wooded Foothills to start. With another Catron? That would suck. Overlord of the Balemerc. Witch Enchanter. Yeah. Yep. Land. Fetch. The 16. Shock to 14. And another Overlord. Emperor Bones. They'll take the K command, try and thin my yard of types. Makes sense. Draw. Ballista. We could go Ballista X2. 1, 2, 3, 4. We go Ballista X2, it would get rid of the Emperor Bones, which is relevant. I feel more inclined to go for Ancient Stirring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I feel more inclined to do that. So I'm going to start with an Ancient Stirrings. There's a TKS. I think we'll take the TKS. And then I'm going to go Ancient Stirrings. Yeah. I'm going to go Wooded Foothills. I'm going to fetch. Or Forest. Ancient Stirrings. I'm going to grab a Blade of the Bloodchief. I'm going to cast a TKS. Fatal Push, Witch Enchanter, Witch Enchanter. I really don't care about the Witch Enchanter, so I'm just going to grab the Fatal Push so they can't as easily get rid of the TKS. So we'll get rid of the Fatal Push. Attack for 6. Down to 8. Lethal is on board. There's a Ketramos. They can't block though. 3. This will be number 4. Down to 7. We know that they have 2 Witch Enchanters. So the thought here is for us to go Walking Ballista and to then... Oh, this is interesting. Untapped would be... Okay, I was about to say, untapped would be a bit odd. Overlord, trigger, draw. So yeah, we can go Ballista for 6. Pop the Emperor. So, Ugin Lab. Done. Pop Emperor. Go to combat. And phone scoops it up. We got there. All right. Thank you, Devourer of Destiny. So we have ended this league with a 3-2 record at the end of 5. So not bad, especially where we had, I would say, at least a pretty poor matchup in match 1 with Eldrazi Tron. I mean, they play 4 Karn the Great Creator, and I feel like our bodies that we end up on board are just a bit too small to really deal with their blockers. Like, an early sowing Mycospawn is just enough to kind of gum up the board enough to where then they resolve Karn and they start local metal coding. It's pretty much GG's. Landfall is pretty clean. They had us on the ropes there for game 2, but we're able to get a clean sweep there. Cutter was a bit I think I did sideboarding correctly, the Trinispheres. I think in like more of a prowess matchup or Jeskai Ascendancy matchup, I think the Trinispheres make sense. But where I think that was more of like just a Jeskai Cutter build and not Ascendancy, I think the Trinispheres may have been incorrect. So I think I probably would have sideboarded a little bit differently with that in mind. But we're still kind of navigating the deck and learning the matchups, hence why I haven't really created a formal sideboard guide yet. It really is just kind of figuring out what's working, what's not, adjusting the sideboard as necessary, going from there, right? Zoo, very clean win. It was Karuga Zoo, so a little bit more of a chunky build. I feel like if it was the monkey build, with Ragavan, with Tribal Flames, with Bolts, with Flage, I think we would have a harder time just because it has more interaction. I also think in game 2, opponent did play a little bit off. They probably could have played a little bit more tightly around the Broodscale lines. But that's me personally. And then Blink, overall, solid stuff. Definitely a lot of back and forth in this matchup. If we have the interaction and they don't, and we're in a solid spot. If they have the interaction, I think even if we have the interaction, but they have more or equal to, I think we're just in a tough spot overall. But the 7-mana value spells came in clutch. Devour, solid. All is Dust, solid. Overall, cannot complain. But with that being said, that there will be the end of today's video. As always, if you did enjoy it, please do consider hitting the like button. Comment down below if you did see any lines that I missed, any mistakes that I made, or any general feedback. It is always appreciated. For as much as that I hope that y'all learn from me in both my success and failures, I hope I can learn from you all as well. Last but not least, if you have reached this point in the video and haven't already, please do consider hitting that subscribe button as we're getting closer and closer to our next goal of 1,000 subscribers. At that point, I'll be able to start monetizing my videos, which will allow me to start saving up towards a streaming PC so I can stream live over on Twitch. In the meantime, though, if you do want to support me monetarily, you can do so over my Patreon, where you can get early access to my YouTube videos and any updates I make to my deck guides. For example, I'll probably try and start working on my Basking Broodscale combo guide again. That was something that I kind of like put to the side as we kind of drop Basking Broodscale for a bit. But now that we're on Basking Broodscale again, I'll probably start working on that. I have goals and aspirations of starting a Eldrazi Tron one as well, as I do have a soft spot for Eldrazi Tron, maybe reviving the old guide, which has never been released. I started that a long time ago, prior to the Opal unban. Yeah, it's been a minute. So I'm probably trying to revive that guide as well. So I have some things in the works. I'll be transparent. I've been exhausted. I've been for a long while. You can chalk it up to my depression. So I have goals and aspirations to do these things, but recording one video a day does take a lot out of me. So trying to keep up with this first off and foremost, and then when I have those bursts of inspiration and energy, then I'll focus in on those guides. But in the meantime, though, that there will be the end of today's video. So as always, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.